Brantford Accessibility Advisory Committee is now called to order. The roll has been taken by the clerk. Number 2 on your agenda is declaration of conflicts of interest. Are there any declarations of conflict of interest of any of the items listed on the agenda? Seeing none, moving on to number 3, presentations and delegations. We have no presentations or delegations today. So number 4, items for consideration. There are 2 items for consideration on today's agenda. The first item is 4.1, Accessibility Action Plan 2024 Year in Review. Financial impact is none. 2024 number 669. I will ask staff to come forward and provide an overview for this item.
Thanks very much, Madam Chair. Through you to the committee, I'm Maria Visaki. I'm the city's Director of Communications, Community Engagement, and Customer Service. And I appreciate the opportunity today to provide the committee with an update regarding the city's AODA Compliance Action Plan, as well as an education awareness campaign that we ran earlier this year. So just to provide a little bit of background, as outlined in the report, in 2021, Brantford City Council approved an AODA compliance action plan to achieve AODA compliance across all city-owned digital properties. So that would include all of the city's websites, as well as all of our social media platforms. So this plan over the last 3 years has guided the city's efforts in training staff to create accessible digital content. So there are approximately 150 staff in the organization who we call frequent report authors. So it was our objective to ensure that all of those report authors were trained on how to create accessible digital documents. It was also an objective of this plan to ensure that administrative support in all of those departments was also trained on how to remediate existing documents that need to be on the city's websites for legislative reasons, or even just for the information of residents who we want to ensure know all of the information we want to share about city services to meet accessibility standards. So what we've done is we've identified a number of super users across the organization, and they basically act as gatekeepers to ensure that a document has been remediated and is accessible before it is provided to communication staff to post on a city website. So throughout the last year, we've continued these efforts, and to date, there's been 147 employees who have received this training. An additional 15 employees are registered for the training that is happening next week. There's a training session on Monday and another one on Thursday. So that's the action plan update. We also detailed in the report is we introduced a new initiative that we finalized early this year to develop a vendors of record list. We work very closely with the city's accessibility coordinator and our purchasing and procurement staff to develop what is now an accredited list of vendors that are approved by the city to remediate documents that may be more complex or of a more demanding, complicated nature that staff cannot manage on their own. So we now have a list of vendors that we can reach out to if we need additional help in remediating documents that is covered by city department budgets. So we also launched a comprehensive education campaign this year to promote National Accessibility Awareness Week, which was held from May 26th to June 1st of this year. And with strong support that we're grateful for from members of this committee, as well as City Council, the campaign celebrated accessibility with 3 main initiatives. The committee will recall that we relaunched the Accessibility Awards program in conjunction with National Accessibility Awareness Week. We also hosted an accessibility expo at the Wayne Gretzky Sports Center, where we awarded each of the recipients of this year's Accessibility Awards and honored their service and their contribution to the city in person at that expo. And we also produced an educational video titled A Day in the Life, Understanding Accessibility in Our City. And I want to thank Councillor Linda Hunt, who participated in that video, and also Jenny Sawicki, who is the city's accessibility coordinator. They helped us immensely in making sure that we got the messaging right for this video. And also the Mayor Davis participated along with Councillor Sokoli. What I wanted to demonstrate to the committee today is that we see accessibility as a key priority in our organization, and we remain committed to promoting our commitment to removing barriers. And if you have not seen the video, or if you have seen it, I'm happy to share it with you again. And happy to take any questions after the video. So Kristen's going to help me pull that up.
Bear with me a second here while I get this. Can everyone see that?
We can't see it online yet, Kristen.
Okay. 1 second.
Brantford city officials to participate in simulations designed to replicate an experience of a person with a disability in order to deepen their understanding of the importance of providing accessible services.
Hi, I'm Jenny Sawicki. I'm the city's accessibility coordinator. The accessibility coordinator for the city is in charge of making everything accessible for all constituents and visitors to the city of Brantford. We work on...
Sorry, 1 second. We can't see it in here. Sorry.
Okay.
What do you say?
No,
Sure, it's here.
yeah, but you can't plug it in because there's
Well,
none. I
yes,
know.
sorry.
Sorry, 1 moment.
Isn't technology fun?
Oh,
You're okay. We're good. And then this is my share. Can everyone see it okay? Okay.
We asked Brantford city officials to participate in simulations designed to replicate an experience of a person with a disability in order to deepen their understanding of the importance of providing accessible services.
Hi, I'm Jenny Sawicki. I'm the city's accessibility coordinator. The accessibility coordinator for the city is in charge of making everything accessible for all constituents and visitors to the city of Brantford. We work on city facilities, events, customer service, and communications to ensure that everything is accessible for a range of disabilities within the city of Brantford.
So with the list of headings, if you've been...
Karen McCall, an accessible document design consultant and educator, is showing the City of Brantford's Ward 1 councillor, Rose Sokoli, how to use a screen reader, which converts digital text into synthesized speech to help people with visual and other disabilities.
I'm a Canadian delegate to the ISO International Standards Organization that creates the standards for PDF and accessible PDF. So as well as educating people on how to create more accessible digital content, I'm also helping shape the standards and the direction of digital accessibility.
This whole thing was very challenging to me, navigating through the various titles and how important those titles and those subheadings are to a document. I had no idea. I never would have thought twice about that if I were writing something. Being able to experience that just puts everything into a different perspective. what I know now, I think it's a question that we'll ask when we're saying, let's put this notice out. Okay, well, let's make sure we're looking at it through the appropriate lens now and making sure that we're supporting our accessibility department to be able to do everything that they need to do so that the public can have access to all of the information without any restriction.
Is Rose, period.
Our Accessibility Advisory Committee is primarily made up of persons with disabilities or representative of disability service organizations. So I think it's important to have that experience around the table. Those decisions are being made with the accessibility lens of persons with lived experience, not someone who, has maybe read a design manual and thinks that they know exactly how something can be done.
How can I help you? I can't hear very well.
Brantford's Ward 5 counselor Mandy Samwell is simulating an experience of a person with a hearing disability interacting with a customer service representative.
I don't feel like I faced any challenges today, but I could see how there could be challenges if it wasn't handled the way that it was today. But because there was a device for me able to help me hear better, that was fantastic. And then there was also the option to write things down. So I think that those were both very helpful. It made me feel empathetic for other folks that have hearing loss and concerns and disabilities. But I also felt that it made me feel very grateful of the staff that we have here at the City of Brantford and how well that went.
From the standpoint of the retrofit to City Hall, the overall design was really designed with universal accessibility in mind.
We've made sure there is space for maneuverability and approach to main amenities such as service counters, push buttons, controls, and things like that. We've considered acoustics in meeting rooms, as well as we have assisted listening devices available. We also have a portable listening device that can be moved to any room. We have universal washrooms, which have adult change tables, as well as appropriate space for any support persons who may need to assist. We've considered color contrast and braille and signages, wayfinding signage, and of course, training for our staff.
The City of Brantford's Mayor Kevin Davis will be putting on some low vision simulator goggles and will be tasked with navigating from the elevator to his office in City Hall. Orientation and mobility instructor at W. Ross McDonald School in Brantford, Brian Gall, and 3 of his students are helping to provide instruction to the mayor for this simulated experience.
Even though I had like a pinpoint field of vision, I thought I'd be able to move my head and my eyes enough to be able to rely on that to move down the hallway and through the room, but actually as it turned out, no. I found the most challenging, which I guess wasn't surprising, were like chairs in the middle of the room or a table in the middle of the room. What it taught me is the importance of, especially on public sidewalks, having what are called landmarks. So for example, different textures that occur at regular intervals. It was those cues you can build into a well-designed streetscape that I can see right away how much that can help someone who has an issue with their sight. And so that opened my eyes to the importance of seeing and visualizing a workplace, a situation from the perspective of people who have some kind of disability and trying to understand what it is they need to be able to use that space. There, I'm at my desk now. Excellent.
The city is doing a great job in providing training to staff.
I would encourage policymakers to go through this practice and really experience hands-on what it's like to try to navigate the various systems with a disability of some sort. And I would encourage all organizations in the private sector as well to maybe explore what this looks like so that they are able to offer their services unencumbered within the city.
I think the insights that are gained through this project will allow us to better understand what people are facing in our community.
Till you actually have an experiential experience, i.e. put yourself in the shoes of that person, you can never be entirely certain that what you're doing is going to work.
certainly involving our residents who have disabilities and soliciting feedback. And if we don't get something right, recognizing that we maybe need to look at things differently.
The main point of accessibility and the hugest benefit is full participation by everybody in our community. Everybody should feel included and important in what they do in their everyday living.
Brantford.ca/accessibility. We welcome your accessibility feedback at accessibility@brantford.ca.
This course is a computer basics course for.
Thanks to my colleagues in the room for getting that working. Happy to take any questions about the campaign this year. And again, thank you to everybody who participated.
Thank you for that, Maria. That was a good refresher on the video. May I ask for a mover and a seconder to place the motion on the floor for further discussion, please? Yes, Doug and Madison. Thank you. Questions for Maria? Comments? Seeing none. May I, oh yes, sorry, Councillor Hunt, go ahead, please.
I just wanted to thank Maria and her team for what I found to be an excellent video, and the work that was done around raising awareness during National Accessibility Awareness Week, and also for the report. Again, very well done. So thank you to Maria and Jenny and the team there at City Hall. It pleases me very much to see that we're concentrating our efforts on making sure that we're achieving accessibility within the municipal environment. So thank you.
Anything further?
The other thing I was going to say, can we do anything about building codes and stuff like that to make it better in general? Because I've tried to work on that for many years. Like my husband was disabled for 52 years, so I've counted just about anything and everything that you can. I've dealt with airlines, with wherever we were in the world. I've dealt with the issues that we encountered to make a better world. Air Canada was excellent, KLM was excellent, they all adopted it. And also Transport Canada was excellent to say, you must do this. You know, and it's a process. It's not instant, okay? And the same, we went to Toronto, and there's a couple of holes in the sidewalk where the events were and all that. And sometimes it takes a little hole like that for a wheelchair to get stuck in. So then I talked to the people, and they said they were going to do a visual many more times a week to make sure that nobody would get stuck.
Right.
You know, and it's with presently building that we can make things better for the public in general. If we were to get a code, like that's what I tried to do, is get a building code, one accessible entry exit, a 36-inch wide door for anything that's being built for people to live in. As we go forward, you never have to fear whether you can get in or out of your house, whether you're disabled or a big project or something, you know, and the cost of that is about $100 for a bigger door versus spending thousands of dollars when you have to do it in a situation that you don't want, you're not never prepared for that.
Absolutely. The cost is
So that
is a big issue.
That's something like I've done so much work, but however, I got a package here that I totally hit the wall with.
Yeah.
And that is the wheelchair parking. It was changed and approved in 2015, that the white spots are only for those with a regular permit that they have been getting these days and for many years. that the big spots are for people with disabilities, that they need an aid to exit and enter their car. And then there are small spots, and that's where the problem came in. The new permits for the people with invisible disabilities have to have an odd purpley color maybe, and the post and the permit that is strictly for the people that are regular spots, but they're marked people with invisible disability, approved in 2015, and Service Ontario has not done anything. And it was a monetary issue. I've talked to them for hours and hours, and they want me to write again. I can't write again. I've turned it over to John Sless, and I think he's probably thrown it aside. But the thing is, how are we going to accommodate all these, the school being built and this being built, all assuming that that's the parking, and it's not even finished in that process.
Right, now, all very good points. I think maybe Jenny Sawicki might have something in answer to your question. Yes, Jenny.
Hi, I would just like to say, sorry, let me put my hand down. That information and input on the Ontario Building Code would have to be submitted during the public review of the building code, and that is not yet open. And until that point, it is beyond the purview of the committee because the committee works at a municipal level. So all we can influence until public feedback is requested is that that we work on the municipal documents and our municipal standards. And certainly within the most recent version of the design of public spaces, there are the two types of accessible parking, and the numbers have increased. So there is that, and I do send along any public review that I can to the committee on both the provincial level, provincial and federal level. So unfortunately, until those open, Lenny, we can't provide information back to those organizations.
Thank you
it's
for
also
that.
important to note that there are the two different levels. So there are standards for federal and there are standards for provincial, all of which are applicable to individual companies. So the airlines, of course, would be different than others. So there is that as well. And also the last thing is there's no requirement to retrofit anything proactively. So unless a facility changes a specific item in a building, then the rest of the building does not have to be modified.
Thank you for that, Jenny. That's very helpful.
Jenny, could I talk to you privately sometimes that maybe we can, think things better together in order, because like what I've lived in, I mean, that was enormous, just to make sure that people can live a real good life and that things are doable, and that's that you need to, like when something hits you like that, what happened to us, our life was fantastic. It was only you have to think different and you have to approach things different.
That would be a great idea for you, perhaps to reach out to Jenny and perhaps the two of you together.
Yes, we've had many conversations and we can certainly talk again. The facility accessibility design standards that Brantford does hold our developments to is currently being redeveloped and will be coming to the committee for review and comment. So there will be that opportunity as well. And to comfort you a little bit, perhaps, Lenny, in that document, there are already 38-inch doors required.
Perfect. Thank you, Jenny. That's very helpful. And before we go any further, I'm sorry, I don't want to cut you off.
No.
The young lady with the dark hair, glasses, and the orangey, rusty colored top, could we get your name, please? You're just up there as a Brantford panelist.
Me? She's not getting it.
I believe that's Chris.
Is that Chris?
We're all Brantford, right?
Sorry. Okay, go ahead. Take the phone. Okay, so let's get back to number 4.1. We've had our discussion, no further questions. I'm going to call the question. All those in favor, please raise your hand. Do we have any opposed? And that's carried. Next item on the agenda is 4.2, site plan control application for 10 Linden Road, which is SPC-24-2024 for review and comment. Financial impact is none, 2024-664. And I will ask staff please to come forward and provide an overview on this item.
Oh, Lindsay, I'm sorry, I'm not sure if I'm the only one, but I can't hear you.
Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Okay, hello everyone. My name's Lindsay King. I'm not sure if you're able to share the presentation. Perfect. Okay, hello everyone. So I'm an intermediate development planner here with the City of Brantford. I'm here today to give a short presentation on a site plan application that I'm currently processing for 10 Linden Road, and to get your feedback on it and incorporate it into the final approval.
Lindsay,
I
sorry to
wonder,
interrupt you.
yeah,
I'm just gonna help troubleshoot this to get it on the screen, okay? So bear with me.
sure, no problem.
Right
Just while
beside
you're
that,
doing that,
Wendy's.
I just,
Oh, okay.
pardon me. Just while you're doing that, I just want to say, I'm not feeling very well, which is why I'm participating remotely. So thank you for your flexibility there. And my voice is a little bit unusual, at least for me. So if you have problems hearing me with anything, just let me know, and I'm happy to slow down or repeat myself.
Right.
Perfect.
They can see.
Yeah, just hold on. Sorry, Lindsay. The way that
No
the
worries.
laptop is set up is not super easy to work with. So I'm gonna just try and switch this up.
Unless Lindsay, can we make you co-host and you share yours
Yes.
here?
Sure, I'll let you do it that way.
Sorry, everyone.
You can just blow up that window that Lindsay's on.
Couldn't do that. It used to be good, but not in today's world. Times change.
I've sent a request to share. Oh, there we go. Perfect. Okay, can you see that now?
Just loading. There we go.
Okay, so the proposed development is a fast food drive-through restaurant. It has 28 parking spaces and 1 loading space. For context, here are the subject lands shown on the screen. They're on the south side of Linden Road, directly west of Canadian Tire, and east of the Krabby Joe's and the Days Inn. It's approximately 125 meters east of the intersection of West Street and Fairview Drive. So right about where Fairview Drive becomes Linden Road. So I have up on the screen here now a site plan of the proposed development. You can see that the main access is onto Linden Road, and then there's a secondary access that would be in the interior side property line, which I included in some discussion on in the report. So here's a close-up of the quote-unquote front yard of the development. So you can see here that there are the 2 accessible parking spaces. There's also a designated crossway that connects the sidewalk to the outdoor patio area. I know one comment that I've received from Jenny is that that the site plan also shows signs for drivers that are exiting the drive-through to kind of warn them of the upcoming crossway. And I'm also noting that some connectivity between the existing sidewalks would be needed. So here is the rear yard that I'm showing up on the screen now. So it's primarily the drive-through aisles and parking, and you can see that interior access as well. There is a demarcated crossway that connects the proposed restaurant to the parking spaces. I would like to hear what you think about extending that to the rear parking area. And then just noting again that the interior side yard, or rather the interior property line access isn't intended to be for pedestrian traffic. It's meant to remain so that the designated fire route for Krabby Joe's and the Days Inn will remain. So that is my presentation. Thank you for the opportunity, and I welcome your questions and comments.
May I speak?
Yes, thank you. Go ahead.
Sorry, Lindsay, I know you're not feeling well, so I hope it's okay if I add a couple extra comments of what I have noted for accessibility. And that is to make sure that, of course, there's a curb cut from the accessible parking to the walkway, which there appears to be. I also recommended the flipping of the 2 accessible spots so that the access aisle is on the passenger side of the van accessible parking. Sorry, typically speaking, the exit for an accessible van is on the passenger side of the vehicle. So for most people, that would be of most benefit. I have also made comment about the need for tactile warning surface indicators for the pedestrian crossings. And I'm not sure, Lindsay, if I've noted or if it was even an option when I saw the plan, but I also, when I say that there are tactile warning surface indicators, I also say that these should be directly across from each other and lead into one another for ease of use for people with vision loss, as well as those using mobility devices. Because if one is angled and one is straight, often the people have to veer into traffic to get a direct approach at that item. So those are the brief comments. I did not have many on this site plan, but those are some comments that I have made. So that is all I have for now.
Thank you for that. And Lindsay, thank you for the great presentation. I'll get back to you to answer any questions you have. But could I have a mover and a seconder to place this motion on the floor for further questions? Yes, Madison and Brian, thank you so much. Lindsay, did you have something further to say?
No, I did not.
Thank you very much for that presentation. Anyone else? Further questions, comments?
Lindsay, you could stop sharing now.
Sure.
Thank you.
Yes, Madison.
What year is this a possible site plan for? Is there...
So this is an application that I'm currently working on. It's been conditionally approved. And so we've met that statutory deadline. At this point, we just have to work through all of the comments from the different departments and make sure that things like, you know, the comments that Jenny just mentioned, that those get integrated into the plan. But beyond that, it's uncertain when it will come into effect or when it would be built, definitely.
Okay, thank you.
Further questions? Seeing none. Oh, yes, Brian, go ahead.
I drove by that piece of land this morning. Well, the width of that piece of property doesn't look much wider than this room. Put a drive-through restaurant in there. I think it's way too small, but that's my opinion. And I don't think that's a great place to keep it. The planning department has already approved this place. Really weird how things get around in town.
Yes, Lindsay.
I'm not sure if that's a question, but so for uses, that the use is allowed under the zoning. And you know, they would be held to all of the provisions related to, you know, property area and the required setbacks. From an accessibility point of view, do you think that there are certain accessibility components that are missing because of the size of the property, or I'm just trying to tie your comment back into accessibility.
I don't think it's the right place for a drive-through. That's it's busy enough as it is in that intersection between West Street and Krabby Joe's and Canadian Tire. We got the car lot across the street. We got, and a fire hall. So we're trying to cram another building into a piece of space that's.
Yeah, it's emergencies too, with emergency. If something happens, that's when you haven't got the space, that's probably where you're gonna catch caught.
And so maybe I can chime in with a comment there. Sorry, my name is Joshua Scram. I'm a senior project manager. Work closely with Lindsay in development planning. So I think your questions in terms of how the application gets reviewed, there are obviously various city departments who review every application, right? So if we're talking about emergency services, we have our fire department that would comment on that. We have transportation staff that comment on flow. I think some of the things that's important that Lindsay's brought to your attention is in regards to the zoning, which is what regulates how a site develops, those rules have been reviewed and applied here. So I think it's really important that this group, you know, working with Jenny and your staff and chair, in terms of the comments of, you know, if it's a concern about accessibility, if it's a question about accessibility, we make sure that we get those comments from a planning perspective. But in terms of this site, a fast food restaurant, you know, the drive-through function, if we look at other, you know, types of commercial uses, it's important that we take advantage of opportunities like this to create commercial restaurant opportunities. But again, I think we need to frame this in terms of the accessibility committee and what your comments are specifically in regards to the mandate, right?
Thank you for that, John.
Yeah.
Anything further? Yes, Madison?
Does this go as far back as the Days Inn?
So this this property as it currently exists, does extend that far south. However, the property is currently owned by the city, and is to be sold, and only a portion of the property will be sold. So it's kind of unique in the way that this property is going to be created. So what exists now isn't what will exist in the future. It will become two properties. So the rear property line that's shown here does not extend back to the Days Inn.
Okay, I understand that tactile plates get geared off of usually seeing the public on a finished property, and it just seems reasonable to ask about the sidewalk travel from as far back as it goes, especially if someone were to be in the area with maybe vision impairment kept in mind, that they wouldn't find themselves lost before the next property is.
So, if I can just be clear, are you kind of wondering if there should still be, even if that interior access is not meant for pedestrians, if there should still be pedestrian infrastructure back there? Is that the comment?
I'm just wondering if these really gear it to the ways that people clearly would use it. And that would be like with tactile, not just at Linden Road.
If I may, there are also tactile warning surfaces throughout the site, Madison. So, can you pull up the site again, Lindsay? So you can see access from the municipal sidewalk coming into the site, and then there's a tactile warning surface where it approaches the drive-through. Lindsay, are you able to move your cursor in that area for me? I know that maybe not all of you will be able to see that, but coming across the drive-through on the very left, there's tactile warning surfaces on both sides of that crossing. There are tactile warning surfaces again where the curb cut between the two accessible parking stalls come into the parking area. And then again in front of the restaurant over to the secondary parking, there are tactile warning surfaces.
That's amazing. Thank you.
Does that answer your question?
Yes, that it's not so based off of just Linden Road and just focusing on people in their individual independence, just finding their way using those if they do. Yes, that it's more than just at the start of things. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Madison. Councillor Hunt, I see your hand up.
I just wanted to, so I'm not sure that we've got this on the floor, but B indicates that the following comments regarding the site plan amendment be forwarded to planning staff. So I know Lindsay's taking notes, but I do want to make sure that we capture the fact that the type A and type B parking stalls need to be reversed. I, for one, am somebody that does drive a wheelchair accessible van, and yes, I do need that access aisle to deploy my ramp out into the access aisle in order to be able to access the restaurant. Otherwise, it doesn't even look like there's enough sidewalk width to be able to deploy a ramp the way it's situated. So if we can just make sure that B1 is capturing that comment to go back to planning staff officially.
Yes, thank you, Councillor Hunt. Okay, any further discussion on this point? Okay, seeing none. We will move on to number 5, consent.
Stop sharing, thank you.
Thank you, Lindsay.
My
Number
pleasure.
5. Oh, I'm sorry. Sorry, we'll take the vote. All those in favor? Do we have any opposed? And that's carried. Sorry about that. Now moving on to number 5, consent items. 5.1, meeting schedule. Meeting schedule for 2025 has been included in the agenda. May I have a mover and a seconder to approve the meeting schedule, please? Thank you, Doug and Bev. All those in favor? Any opposed to the meeting schedule? And that's carried. .2, Brantford Accessibility Advisory Committee, September 12, 2024. Everyone has received and read the minutes. May I have a mover and a seconder to approve the minutes, please? Yes, Brian?
Make the move.
Thank you. Seconder is Doug. All those in favor? Any opposed? Sorry. That's carried. Do we have discussion on that? I'm sorry, did I see your hand up, Councillor Van Tilburg?
No, that's not for a discussion. That was agreeing. That's all. I just realized my hand has been up off the screen all that time.
Thank you so much. Okay, moving on to number 6, resolutions, and there are no resolutions. Number 8, adjournment. The meeting is now adjourned. Thank you all very much.
Thank you, bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye.
What I find weird about the Ken Linden